Remember that we are not trying to focus our attention on anything in particular. When we're not trying to do that, and naturally the mind knows a few things at the same time. You don't have to conceptualize what the mind knows. You don't have to say this is feeling, this is seeing, this is hearing. Just knowing will do. But if conceptualizing happens, that's okay too. Then include that in your field of awareness. So awareness is inclusive, it is not exclusive. We are wanting to be aware of what the mind is able to be aware of at this moment. If you take awareness like a light from a lamp, it has a certain extent that it can reach, and beyond that it is not so clear, or maybe perhaps it cannot reach at all. So in the same way, awareness has its limits. Just as the light can reach a certain extent, so the awareness also only reaches a certain extent at a certain time. So you can't go beyond that extent, and it's okay. You're not trying to force the mind to know what you cannot know. As the mind relaxes, the awareness expands. Or at least it is able to expand on its own. Strong awareness is not something that's hard. It's the opposite. It's something that's soft, that's malleable, flexible. Ordinarily, the mind is not like that. It tends to be rigid. And perhaps if you observe now, you can also notice its rigidness, which can also be felt in the body. And that's okay. We also include this rigidness in our field of awareness. Try to be aware of your judgmental mind if you can, that judges how you are doing. In comparison with what you think how others are doing. The mind may think, oh, my mind is too busy, too distracted, too tense, too this, too that. All that is unnecessary. Just be happy that you are aware. And being aware of any state of mind, any judgment, whatever things that could be happening, any beliefs, any views that you have, any desires, any aversion. Because these are all just experiences, all just happenings. They are not who you are. They happen and they go. How can something that just happens and disappears be who you are? That's not possible. That can't be. It might happen again, but that's a new one, not the old one. And it's gone again. There's some animal sounds now. Various sounds. Some more constant than others. The occurrences may sound similar, or they may sound very, very alike, almost indistinguishable. But every new sound is a new sound, it's not the old sound. So everything is new. There are no old things. This moment is new. Never happened before. It will only seem like the same old thing because we believe that it is the same old thing. So if you think that things are being a bit boring, same old thing, remember that's just a belief. Notice that the mind is believing that things are the same. And it holds on to that belief. Are you waiting for me to speak? If you are waiting for me to speak, are you conscious of this waiting? That is the mind doing its job. The mind does its job naturally. It does what it does. And our job is to be aware, to notice, to acknowledge, to recognize what is happening, whatever that is happening as they are. Meditation is not about forcing ourselves to sit, not about forcing ourselves to pay attention or forcing ourselves to do anything at all. If you find yourself needing to force, that's not the right approach. If the mind is unwilling to do something, you can stop and check why. Be kind to the mind. Forcing is not kindness. Be understanding. Forcing is hard. It's a very hard way of dealing with things. Compassion is soft. But soft doesn't mean it's weak. In fact, it's much stronger than forcing. Don't try to do anything special. Really, really, don't try to do anything special. Be ordinary. Be just completely ordinary. Meaning just be the way you are right now. It's okay. It's perfectly okay. You want to know the truth, not a distorted version of it. So the way you are now is fine, is perfectly fine. We are meditating only for this moment. On this moment. It's always like that. And in this moment, there is hearing, there is seeing, sensing, cognizing, That's our whole life in this moment. The past is gone and the future has yet to come. Our life is now. It has always been just now. If you find difficulty being aware, then you need to use your wisdom. You need to ask, why is it so? What can I do about this? We are not insisting for answers. If you find your awareness going smoothly, you can also check whether or not there's too much of effort to be aware or too little. Once you have a sense of balance in the application of awareness, normally you find it easier and the awareness is even smoother. Don't have a fixed idea about how things should be. Don't have a fixed idea about the mental state that you are in. Because if you have fixed ideas, you are not paying attention to what is really happening. You end up paying attention to your idea instead. So check. Things may have changed and you think it's the same thing. If you're feeling drowsy now, sleepy, drowsy, then this is the time for more investigation. Such as asking the question, how is my mental state now? Why am I feeling sleepy? Remember, when we ask the questions, we are not insisting, we are not demanding an answer. It's not the answer that is important, it's the question. Why when the question is not really the most important thing? It's the arousing of interest to know. If interest is already there, then there's no need to ask questions. The interest to understand carries the energy of wisdom. If your mind is very restless, very agitated, then don't investigate so much. Don't ask so many questions. Let the agitation settle first. You can do so by paying attention to the body or to the breath, to how the body breathes in and out, how the body feels when we are breathing in and out. If the way of your meditation is just about bearing up with what is happening, or tolerating, or enduring a long sitting, that's not meditation. That's just an endurance exercise. If you find yourself just tolerating what's happening, then notice what's the mind doing. It's enduring, it's tolerating. It's bracing against what is unpleasant. We need to remember to regard all phenomena as just natural phenomena. Just phenomena, not mine, not me, not myself. To be truly observing ourselves, we need to be very, very honest. We want to recognize and acknowledge whatever that is happening in the mind. Do not ignore even slight dislike or like. If we are attached to a particular situation, particular environment or condition, whether it's an internal one or an external one, then that is still an attachment. And this attachment is already happening, if it is there. You don't have to wait until the situation changes before you notice it, to know that it is there. Would it be okay for you if suddenly things changes? Would it be okay for you right now, suddenly something happens? Something very different. Would the mind be flexible enough to be okay with it and still be practicing? Are you attached to this situation? To the extent that we are attached, to the extent we are not freed. What's the mind doing now? What it's doing is not so important. More important is, are you aware? So whatever happens is okay. What I want to know is how the mind is knowing. Is there a wanting for things to be different than it is in the mind? Is there wanting for something to stop? Is there wanting to get rid of something? Is there wanting to create something, to make something happen? It's more important to check if these attitudes are there in relation to whatever is happening. Don't be the experiencer. Don't be the feeler. Don't be the thinker. Be the witness of what is happening. Taking whatever is happening as just nature. Natural phenomena happening on their own. Check and see if we are grasping. Grasping on sensations, grasping on the body, grasping on thoughts, feelings, grasping on anything at all. I'm not asking you not to grasp, but just to check and observe. See if you can fine-tune the energy that you put forth in being aware. Are you using too much energy or too little? For those who have practiced meditation for a long time, if you're not careful, old habits of trying to concentrate comes back. And when we speak of being aware of this moment, being in the present, we might think of this moment as something that's very small, just this moment. But that's not accurate. That's not correct. This moment is vast. There's the seeing, the hearing, the working of other senses. And then there's the mind, the awareness itself. It is not a small thing. Although mental things can be physically big or small, but there's such thing as a contracted mind and there's such thing as a great mind. Not a narrow mind. So don't try to zoom the mind. Allow it to expand naturally as you practice more of awareness, as the awareness becomes smooth, as it becomes persistent. Naturally, you feel a sense of expansion, which is not something that you can manipulate, you can't create that. It happens naturally. What is this moment? What is it now? It is the knowing. Knowing the seeing, knowing the hearing, knowing the sensing, knowing the feeling, knowing the thinking, knowing the knowing. Sometimes meditation can seem like nothing. It can seem like that we are not cultivating anything at all, that we are not benefiting ourselves in any way. But don't believe that. We are strengthening our spiritual faculties. It is a person with strong spiritual faculties who can meet with challenges in life, who can meet suffering with wisdom, with composure. So we are certainly not wasting our time here. We are certainly not wasting our energy by practicing. In fact, if we are practicing correctly, we actually become more energetic, more alert. If we have the right attitude to meditation, we make use of everything. We make use of everything that the mind is in contact with to practice. And everything includes the defilements, this irritation arising. We make use of that. If desire arises, we make use of that. If anxiety arises, we make use of that too. And to be able to make use of that, we need to first remind ourselves that this is just nature. And so we are not concerned about what happens. We are interested to know what happens and continue to observe them as they are. In observing anything at all, we need to mentally step back. Otherwise, we will get involved with whatever happens. Remember that we are not practicing to force ourselves in any way. We are not practicing to force ourselves not to move, not to think, not to feel. That's not meditation, that's forcing. But there can be a habit that we may not be conscious of. So we need to check. Do we want something? whatever that might be. Do you want something? Do you want to get something? Get rid of something? If you have such attitudes in mind, in the practice of meditation, then meditation becomes difficult. In fact, it is not meditation. When we are not wanting anything, then already there is a certain measure of samadhi, of composure, of collectedness. Without wanting to get something or get rid of something, we want to know things as they are right now. And this is meditation. Even if that knowing things as they are right now include that wanting, then it is meditation. So don't try to push away anything. Don't try to change what is happening. Whatever happens, happens for your practice. We make use of whatever happens to grow in awareness and wisdom. Defilements, like everything else, are also nature. So that we don't have to be trying to get rid of them. Instead, we try to understand them. We acknowledge them as they are and examine them. What's the mind doing? Whatever happens is fine. What's important is, are you aware of what the mind is doing in relation to that? Remember to check how you are meditating. Are you meditating wisely, intelligently, or with defilements? Meaning you are meditating with wanting, with craving, with resistance, or with delusion, not knowing clearly what you're doing or what's happening. In using wisdom, we become more energetic. In using defilements, we become more tired. So check and see how you are meditating. We can sometimes ask ourselves, how can I practice now? Should I use more energy or less? If we are observing what's happening, naturally we will know whether or not energy is too much or too little. And we would know how to adjust accordingly. So please check for yourself. I see that some of you are feeling sleepy. Remember not to fight it. Resisting or fighting anything is aversion. We need to be aware of this aversion It's more important to be aware of this than to whatever that we are averse to. And we keep watching it, keep eyeing on it. Just quietly and silently have kindness for ourselves, have loving kindness for ourselves. You don't have to say any words. Just be genuinely kind to this person that we call me. Taking this person as it is. Not wishing for any more, nor any less. Fully acknowledging this person as it is. And having loving kindness for this person. In whatever situation this person is right now. You don't care what situation this person is in. You love it anyway. This person doesn't have to be lovable to be loved. So you don't care how this person is right now. You just love. However this person is right now is okay. Now have the same attitude towards everyone in this room. You don't care how they are. You just love. And extend this to all beings, big or small, near or far, seen or unseen. You don't care how they are. You just love. Caring is wanting them to be in the way you want them to be. That's not love. So you just love, you don't care. However they are, it's fine. And we extend this to all beings in the universe, above, below, and all around. We don't expect them to be in any way. We just love.